When the Supreme Court released its Bilski decision, it seemed as though the issue of software patentability was well settled. There were still some questions about whether some business methods that didn't use computers or other hardware to be performed were patentable subject matter, but it seemed as though the whole issue of software patentability was settled. However, when a three-judge panel of the Federal Circuit issued its CyberSource decision, it threw software patentability into doubt. In addition, another Federal Circuit panel issued the Ultramercial decision, which basically upheld the patentability of software inventions, but also tried to explain why that the CyberSource decision was consistent with the previous understanding about how software inventions could be patented. One of the biggest problems surrounding software patents is that there are a number of Supreme Court decisions that basically are contradictory on the subject of patentable subject matter and software inventions in particular. The Supreme Court seemed to clear up these issues when in the Bilski decision it said, as numerous amicus briefs argue, the machine or transformation test would create uncertainty as to the patentability of software. So the court clearly intended that software inventions would be patentable. The CyberSource decision threw this software patentability into doubt by saying, thus merely claiming a software implementation of a purely mental process that could otherwise be performed without the use of a computer does not satisfy the machine prong of the machine or transformation test. A later panel of the Federal Circuit tried to distinguish the CyberSource decision and this whole idea of abstract ideas that can be performed as a mental process of being unpatentable by saying in the Ultramercial decision that the application of an abstract idea to a new and useful end is the type of invention that the Supreme Court has described as deserving of patent protection. So basically, applications of abstract ideas should be patentable. This panel of the Federal Circuit then goes on to give some reasons why abstract ideas should be patentable as software. And the first is, if it's a practical application of an abstract idea, then it should be patentable. Or they say the 545 patent discloses a practical application of this idea, and therefore it should be patentable. The court tries to distinguish the Ultramercial decision from CyberSource by saying that in CyberSource, the software invention has a controlled interaction with the consumer via an internet website, so it's much more than simply abstract mental steps. The decision also emphasizes the need for a sufficient disclosure, but points out that the disclosure need not detail the particular instrumentalities for each step in the process. So based on the Ultramercial decision, in all the software patent applications that I've been preparing, I try to do a number of things to make sure that the invention will be found as allowable subject matter, even if there is changes to the law along the lines of the CyberSource decision. And first of all, I try and make sure that it includes a description that the invention is new and useful, something that it distinguishes it from the way it was done before, even mental processes that were done before. I also emphasize how it's a practical application, so that if one could do this particular process before with a paper and pencil or as a mental process, this actually makes it something practical and useful, something that actually could be used in commerce that would have a benefit. I describe how the invention makes extensive use of the computer, particularly around the key inventive elements. So if it, for example, uses a user interface or that it accesses a database, I make sure that there's a description of those kinds of hardware components in the specification. And of course describe all of the enabling elements. And by following these practice tips, I'm confident, although nothing's guaranteed, that software inventions will continue to be patentable in the future.